Welcome to the Catacombs Cafe, where we take a bite out of good books. I am your host, Liv Miles. I'm a paranormal romance author, and the third book in my Wandering Wolves paranormal romance trilogy is going to be released on March 6th, 2026. This is the first chapter of my book 1 of Wandering Wolves, The Wolves Beneath Paris. And if you like it, good news, you can read the whole book for free simply by scanning that QR code in the bottom right of our specials menu. Yeehaw! It needs reviews on Amazon, so by all means, if you feel up to reviewing it on Amazon, I feel up to deeply appreciating you. Chapter 1. Stephen. Stephen Russell may have given up on finding a mate, but he would never give up on finding those missing women. He clicked his lighter until a shower of white sparks launched from the tip, followed by the heated tongue of a yellow flame. Lowering the blaze, he lit the first of 3 candles, and the surrounding darkness of the forbidden shrine lifted just a little, just enough, to illuminate the statues as if by a distant star. Would the gods even remember his name? Or would it enrage them that this man, a wolf-shifter who had renounced Duravenism, the religion of the Angranishi pack to whom he once belonged, was now beseeching them for help? It was a risk he was willing to take. Lord Necomtus and Lady Barbara, keepers of the light and the dark, he recited, inwardly, hoping he had not butchered the formality of his old ways. The mother and the father of those who walk under the moon and walk with us even under the sun. Hear me now, blessed ones. He drew a deep breath, the warmth of the candle carrying the sweet aroma of sacred clove oil and exotic spice into his chest, awakening the buried secrets of his heart. A twinge of sorrow pinched his throat, and desperation fluttered through his mind, but he had to go through with us. It was too late to turn around now. I need your help more now than ever. Slowly, as if fearful he might startle the majestic figures, he lifted his gaze from the candle and admired the artistic perfection of the womanly fingers holding it. The light trickled from the flame up the figure's wrist, revealing the lines of musculature and bone that an artist must have slaved over for months. The glow of her stone flesh could have only belonged to a goddess, and belonged to a goddess it did. A goddess whom he had not worshipped for a long, long time. Please protect the citizens of France from the threats of the underworld. Protect them, sweet goddess, from those of our kind who would misuse our gifts to prey upon the weaker ones. Taking the candle from the statue's hand, he used it to ignite the wax cylinder on her opposite side, the one held by the statue of the Dark Lord Necoptus. If the goddess Barbara was the embodiment of healing, love, and light, Necoptus knew only the shadows of her graces. His tall, broad-shouldered form had been carved wearing a full chest of armor, draped by the stone folds of his cloak. A helmet adorned his head, and from beneath it a long, thick beard swirled down to his collarbone, as feral and regal as an ancient Norse king. His eyes sparkled black. Stephen lit the candle Necoptus held. Please, help me find the women who have gone missing. Help me return them to their families before anyone else dies. Please, fearful god of the underworld. The flame sputtered and sprang to life, dancing as vividly as a newborn sprite. Only one more to go. His vision trailed from the Dark Lord to the place between the statues, where the goddess and the god beheld 2 crowns. In the goddess's hand, a thick, sturdy crown with hard angles and walnut-sized gems rested between her fingers. The Lord Necoptus, despite his imposing demeanor, beheld a feminine, intricately woven diadem beneath his mighty hand. For the god must find his goddess, Stephen remembered, reciting what he could from the holy book of his people, and the goddess must find her god. A candle waited in front of both crowns, its wick cold and dark. He reached between them with the burning candle, dipping its fire toward the wick. And the prayer froze his hand inches from its destination. Please, the tip of the candle smoldered. Help me find my mate. A burst of white-hot light consumed the wick. Stephen jolted, sloshing a sizzling line of bubbling wax down his knuckles. The 3 lights burned on in silence, carrying his prayers on wings of sacred smoke into the waiting arms of the full moon above. Had they heard him? Did they care? Or was this yet another wasted effort he had devoted to finding those missing girls, bringing them home to their families, protecting the citizens of France, and even, if he was so bold, finding his one true love? At least I tried, he rationalized, accepting that his efforts might be in vain. What's another unanswered prayer to the gods? The wolfshifter's gaze trailed to the base of the statue. Framed photographs glistened at the hem of the goddess's dress, faces of deceased congregationalists, he imagined, along with the crisp fragments of flowers and spent wax, tokens from those more pious than he and far more likely to have their prayers received. Even now, the murmuring of a dozen or so congregants hummed behind him, their hushed whispers carrying up into the edifice's arching overhead. As his gaze prodded higher, he noticed swirls of green vines creeping through the weathered walls of this sacred domain, the filigree of sculpted flowers and leaves giving way to tangles of actual greenery. But the crowning jewel of this place wasn't the towering arches merging into the dirt of the surrounding hollow, but rather the waterfall. A thick sheen of water curved down the limestone expanse, beads of moisture suffusing the air as the stream crashed into the small reservoir beneath the god and goddess. He bowed to the deities that he was not sure he believed in, and as he did, the bottom of his feet tingled. The feeling worked through his ankles, then his legs, weakening his knees as his calves tightened with newfound energy. It was as if he were a string on an old guitar, never touched in years, and all of a sudden, twang, a finger came along and shattered the dust with a tune he had long forgotten, a song that his spirit could yet sing. His hips buckled as this mysterious vivacity rang through his joints, and as he sank to his knees, the cold earth did nothing to chill him, for his warmth was not of this world. If other worshippers noticed, they made no sound. Is this magic? He pulled a shaky breath into his lungs. Is this... He looked up at the god and goddess standing over him. You? Their eyes glowed green. Stephen shot to his feet and stepped back, widening his stance as if preparing to dodge an incoming round. Gasps erupted behind him, but as he swiveled his head to regard the worshippers in his company, he had no answers. "Oh my God," a woman's voice breathed. "I've never seen this before," another continued. A man in the corner stared, unmoving. The whispers swelled into a murmur as more and more voices joined, some shocked, others excited, until their dull roar grew louder than the rush of the waterfall. Stephen lifted his hand to urge the mob to be silent. He couldn't call for reinforcements down here, not if he valued his career as a federal agent, so avoiding trouble was a top priority. Mobs were more dangerous than wolves. "Everybody please," he addressed the crowd. A few people broke away from their conversations to regard the man who commanded their attention, scanning his finer details for possibly the first time. They would not have seen him before. "Now there's something you don't see every day," he began, keeping his tone light, almost jovial. One person chuckled, the unmoving fellow in the far-off corner, and set off a low rumble of agreement among the others. "That's a start," Stephen acknowledged, thankful for at least the smooth opening. He had their attention. No panic had broken out yet. As long as he kept it together and controlled the crowd, this could all go down as some weird story to mull over later rather than a catastrophe. "What did you pray for?" a child blurted out. "Beatrice," she scolded. A mother scolded, holding up a slender finger toward her young daughter. The girl's mouth dropped to argue further, but instead she buried her blonde curls and rosy cheeks into her mother's side. "He made the statues green, Mommy," she whimpered, clutching the belt loops of her mother's black dress pants. "He made the eyes green." "I guess I'll take this as a blessing," he soothed the child, then turned his attention to the rest of the congregation. "A sign of benevolence from our Lord and Lady." When the crowd said nothing, a drop of worry bled through him. He looked from face to face, hoping someone would step forward with an answer. A few words to set his nerves at ease, a myth or a legend, anything. No one offered a single word. "Have a good night, then," he concluded, with what he hoped was a friendly wave, and then turned toward the statues as if to say goodbye. The god and the goddess kept their silent watch, though the sparkle of green waned from their eye sockets, leaving only the glint of candlelight over polished limestone. The goddess regained her dormant composure. The god remained beside her as an unyielding force of protection, a match ordained by destiny and sealed until the end of time. No matter what, the lord and the lady belonged to each other, their union as eternal as the death and rebirth of stars. What I wouldn't give for a love like that. For 30 years he had lived alone. Women were more interested in his cushy job as a federal agent than they were in him, and the shallow pursuit of dating had left him empty. Was it wrong to want one gal to devote the rest of his life to, rather than to play the endless game of chasing tail until his body wore out? He hadn't even meant to pray for his true love. The words just came out, rushing to fill the void within him. Stephen bowed, a gentle tilt hinging below his chin like a frozen tree swaying in a blizzard. He closed his eyes, and the after-image of the deities stared into him like sunlight burning through every leaf of his internal world. Energy, raw and electric, reverberated through his muscles and settled into his bones, seeping from the infinite darkness behind his eyelids. The wolf-shifter turned toward the staircase leading out of the chasm. Tendrils of long grass rimmed the edge of the world above, where a black crisscross of sturdy oak branches cut the sky into midnight blue fragments befitting the Cathedral of Notre Dame. Planets shimmered beyond the swaying canopy of leaves, beckoning him to where he belonged, to his place as an agent for the MPA, not a member of the Angarnishi Pack or a faithful devotee of Derivanism. A distant thunder rumbled. A clod of dirt broke free from the wall, striking him on the shoulder. He held out his hand to stabilize himself, but when he touched the wall, a low vibration rolled through his arm. Gasps echoed from the crowd below, and a few members of the congregation charged the stairs, closing the gap between Stephen and themselves. A young boy ushered his grandmother to her feet, but she stumbled as the thunder grew louder. The candles flickered as their wax spilled over. The dangling urns of incense swayed. The walls shook. We're going to be buried alive. That was the end of Chapter 1 of The Wolves Beneath Paris, the first book in the Wandering Wolves trilogy, by yours truly, Liv Miles. And you can, of course, download it by looking at our specials menu located in the center of the screen, and it's that QR code. Which way am I pointing? That way. Right there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I appreciate you all. If you have not yet done it, go on over to YouTube, right? And you see that button that says subscribe? Yeah, smack it. Give it a little smack, and then hit the bell button so you have your notifications turned on, and you can join us and party in the catacombs with my crazy ass and the wonderful people who choose to join me. Read and review my shit. I'll love you for it if you do. Have a good night, everybody.